Hey everybody, welcome to JLB Sports TV. I am Justin Block, and you are currently watching my countdown to who I think is the #1 team most likely to win the World Cup. Now, as you just saw, you hopefully watched, you saw teams 10 through 6 in an abbreviated video. This is teams 5 through 1. And the 5th team that I think is most likely to win the World Cup is Germany. And they're currently sixth in the FIFA World Rankings. A hallmark of a German side is fitness, and bar none, Germany is the most fit team in South Africa. They will not be worn down. In an elimination, extra time game, and an overtime game, expect Germany to win that game based on their fitness. Now, their fearless leader in the defensive side of midfield and in midfield in general, I guess the team in general, Michael Ballack, their captain, is out of the World Cup, of course, with those torn ankle ligaments, but they have the talent in midfield to make up for it. Especially when you have a guy like Bastian Schweinsteiger, who's one of my favorite players in the world, not only because of his talent, because of his name. Just say Schweinsteiger, Bastian Schweinsteiger. I just love saying his name. He's got a great passing range, an eye for the spectacular, and he's deadly, absolutely deadly on free kicks. So Germany has more than enough talent to make up for Ballack's presence in midfield, but whether they have the leadership to is a question. They have very experienced forwards in Miroslav Klose, Lucas Podolski, and Mario Gomez. Those are international veterans who just have great positional skills and simply know how to put the ball in the back of the net when it's played to them. The problem with Germany is the inability to win the big one. In the 2006 World Cup, they lost to Italy in the semifinals, and in Euro 08, they lost to Spain in the finals. This team can easily be in the finals and win it all. They just need a break. That's really all they need. So moving on to number 4 in my list is Holland. Holland, the Dutch, Netherlands, Holland, go around, hey. They're currently 4th in the FIFA World Rankings, and they were unbeaten in qualifying. Now, Holland features one of the most dangerous attacks in the world, and Robin van Persie up front, you have Dirk Kuyt and Arjen Robben on the wings, and Wesley Sneijder playing in that advanced midfield role. He really plucks the strings of the Holland offense. Oh, and you have Rafael van der Vaart, a match winner in his own right, and could be starting over Wesley Sneijder in the tournament, and Speed Demons Ryan Babel and Elia on the bench. So this team is absolutely ripe with world-class attacking talent. Oh, and they have one of the best defensive midfield linchpins in the entire game in Mark van Bommel. The problem with Holland is a leaky defense. Yes, they've blown out Hungary, Ghana, and Mexico in the warm-ups, but they've all conceded goals. Now, if the defense holds, the Dutch will too, because they have the talent on offense to put up big goals and blow teams out. If they can keep clean sheets or keep all their teams they play to 1 goal, which is asking a lot of this defense, then they can win the World Cup. Now moving on to number 3 on my list, and that is Brazil. They're 1st in the FIFA rankings, and much has been made of their change in Brazilian style. In the past, they would play the sort of the beautiful game. They had such great talent on the ball. They had the Robinhos, the Adrianos, the Ronaldos, the Ronaldinhos, the Romarios, just great players with great skill on the ball, and they were basically a team of individuals playing together. I guess a team of individuals, if you can call them that, who just happened to be playing together, and because they were all so great, they would win. But head coach Dunga has totally changed the Brazilian style. Now they're more of a defensive team and have lightning-quick counterattacks led by Real Madrid men and $100 million man Kaká. Now the new Brazilian trademarks are expert set-piece delivery from Eliano and just burning fast counterattacks and precise passing by who else but Kaká. They've got a top striker in Luis Fabiano, and not to mention a great defense. Maicon, I think, is the best defensive player in the world. His speed down the wings, his just adventuring nature down the wings from the right back spot is unmatched in football, and he has a great eye for goal. That Dani Alves providing crosses from the left back spot, I believe, and Lucio in the center of the field, who just doesn't mess with anybody. Oh, and they have Julio Cesar, who just won a treble with Inter. One area where Brazil really lacks is passing. Now, they really struggle against teams that just like to sit back and defend, and because they lack the individualism or magic of Ronaldinho and other players such as Ronaldinho, or players similar to Ronaldinho, they will have a hard time winning against teams that just like to sit back and defend it because they lack the players that can really create goals from nothing. They're almost a lock for the quarters, though. They can go into the semifinals, and this team can win it all. It just all depends on whether these players execute Dunga's system to perfection, because if they do, believe me, they can and will win this World Cup. And that's why they're number 3 on my list. Now moving on to number 2 is Spain. No, I'm joking. It's England. Now England have great players at every position. They really don't have any weaknesses. John Terry is great in defense. Ledley King is more than capable to make up for Rio Ferdinand in defense. Glenn Johnson is basically the English Mike Hahn, if you think about it. He plays for Liverpool. One of great right backs, best right back in English football. They, of course, have the great midfielders, as always, and Lampard and Gerrard. Aaron Lennon down the wings, Sean Wright-Phillips. So they have great play in midfield, great play down the wings. Oh, and they have Wayne Rooney, who just happens to be one of the best strikers in the world in attack, who'll probably pair with Emile Heskey at the two striker positions. So England don't really have many weaknesses. They're kind of covered across the board. If you could point out their controversy at the goalkeeper position, where to start Joe Hart, Robert Green or David James, that's still up in the air. But all three are pretty good goalkeepers. They're not world-class goalkeepers like Brazil has in Luis Fabiano, or Italy has in Buffon, or Spain has in Iker Casillas, but they will get the job done. It's just whether this team could come together. Much has been made of the lack of chemistry between Gerrard and Lampard and the inability to sort of have them gel in midfield. But since Gerrard has been relegated to the left side of midfield, that problem has sort of been alleviated, and he's improved there. And as a consequence, England has improved. They have match winners all over the side, and they can win this World Cup. It's really just whether they can win the big one or not against a probably eventual matchup versus Brazil. But I think they can beat Brazil, and they will beat Brazil and be in the finals versus the number one team on my list, Spain. Now, Spain, before they lost to the U.S., had that ridiculous unbeaten streak and haven't stopped since. In qualifying, they had 10 games, 10 wins, 28 goals, 6 conceded. Mark of a great side. There's absolutely no weakness on this team. They have one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and probably the best goalkeeper in the world, unless you want to argue for Buffon and Iker Casillas. The defense is loaded with Puyol, Sergio Ramos, Gerrard, Piqué, just an absolute stellar defense. Capdevila also at the back position. And they play Barcelona-style football, and as we know, Barcelona-style football wins, with Xavi and even Iniesta pulling the strings from midfield. Not to mention, they also have Fabregas, who I think will eventually be playing for Barcelona sooner or later, and who I think is the best midfielder in the world. Before he got hurt, I think he was the best midfielder in the world, and if he comes back and plays with the form that he did with Arsenal this season, it will reestablish himself as the best midfielder in the world. Oh, and they also happen to have Fernando Torres and David Villa on attack. You know, that's okay. Oh, and David Silva on the wings. He's a great winger, I guess. So there's no way to, I guess, to express this, but Spain has the best team in the world. They have the best lineup in the world. They have the best players at every position in the world. If you had to pick a team drawn from all the best players in the world, and you can create your own magical team, you would probably pick the Spanish side and not really change anything. But the one way that Spain could possibly lose this World Cup is history. I think maybe one other team has won Euro 8 and then gone on to win the World Cup 2 years later. I forget which team, but history is against them there. And I guess tactically, if you're actually looking to beat this team and not relying on history, play rough against them. Hit these. You got to play down and dirty football against Spain to beat them. You have to abuse Spain has a much smaller team. Spanish players are generally shorter. One of their biggest players is Fernando Torres at 6'1", and I know as a Liverpool fan that to stop Torres, I guess to stop most Spanish players, is to bully them around, be aggressive with them, commit fouls against them, frustrate them. And above all, you have to hang around against Spain, because if you frustrate them physically, they can let their guard down, as the U.S. proved last summer. But above being physical and keeping the game down to the wire, you have to have great resilience of defense. When the U.S. beat Spain, Tim Howard was making outstanding goals. The U.S. was basically sitting 11 men back in attack, and Spain was sending all their men up at Tim Howard, and he made some great goals. So you will need some luck if you are going to beat Spain. Spain can be beaten. You just have to have a little luck on your side and play just grind it out, hard-nosed, I guess, rugby-style football. But that's all for today for JLB Sports TV. You have completed my World Cup guide. I hope at the end of this, go watch my other videos. I have a bunch of individual team profiles, I think from 32 to 17 of all the weaker teams in the World Cup. So if you want to know everything you want to learn about the World Cup and the individual teams on it, watch all my World Cup videos, because you will learn a lot. Again, I have Spain winning the World Cup. Not maybe winning the, yeah. I have Spain winning the World Cup. They're the number one team, most likely to win it all. Spain, that's it. I'd like to bring in a baseball analogy to explain how the World Cup works. Oakland A's, a baseball team, the Oakland A's, the great general manager, Billy Beane, said the playoffs, the Major League Baseball playoffs are basically a crapshoot. Well, the World Cup is too. Once you get out of the group stage, all bets are off. Anything can happen. Luck is just as important as individual talent. And that is something to remember in the World Cup. Anything can happen. So even though I have Spain as the most likely team to win it all, don't be surprised if Argentina or France or a US wins it all. Or maybe South Korea goes deep and makes it to the semifinals. Maybe Greece makes it to the quarterfinals. You can never know with the World Cup, and that's the beautiful thing about soccer. So that's all for today for JLB Sports TV. The World Cup starts tomorrow or today or whenever you see this video. I hope you have a great time. Party on. Go World Cup. I'm so excited for it. Up Holland. Go Dutch. I hope the Dutch win it all. Robin Van Persie. I also hope the US really goes far and wins it all. But that's all for today of JLB Sports TV. I am Justin Block. Hope you have a great World Cup no matter what country you're in. Thanks, guys.